Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree. If you are new here, I haven't done anything with my hair. I'm still in my pajamas. I haven't filmed in like a month or so. And I just want to hang out, do like a classic get ready with me, give a little life update maybe, tell you guys where the fuck I've been, because I know there was a big gap in putting out videos too. And yeah, so if you guys want to hang out and do some makeup and chat, then just keep on watching. First and foremost, which actually might be relevant to, is definitely relevant to my life update. You guys may hear like construction sounds. They're working outside somewhere. Not like immediately outside of my building, so it may be louder for me and the camera may not even be picking it up. I don't fucking know. Also, allergies are kicking my ass. I feel physically fine, but I am like so stuffy and like runny and stuff. I just took an allergy pill just a little bit ago, so I'm kind of waiting for that to do its job. I hate having a stuffy nose and a runny nose. I especially hate having a stuffy nose when like you're trying to sleep. It's like there's nothing worse than that. I hate it. But I honestly would rather have a stuffy nose than a sore throat, but like I'm not sick at all. Like I physically feel fine, everything like that. But my like main allergy symptom that I always get in the fall, spring, always, is that the corners of my eyes will water a ton and it always ruins my makeup. So I kind of would almost rather take a stuffy nose over ruining my makeup. But then again, a runny nose ruins your makeup too. It's a lose-lose, honestly. I have to let my cat out. But I've seriously blown my nose so many times this morning alone that like my nose already feels raw. I honestly think I might just be in the middle of what in the chronic illness community is referred to as the October slide. Where like everything fucking hurts. Just there's so many problems. Like it's not even that cold in here, to be honest. I'm just trying to like warm my chest bones, my chest joints, because they hurt. It's just a combination of sleeping with also like the act of me like going is like, you know, forces your chest in, and that doesn't feel the greatest, and it really needs to pop, but it fucking won't, and it's pissing me off. This is not at all related to my life update, but I'm going to tell this story really quick anyway. Last week, I had therapy, and typically my therapy appointments are, I typically schedule them slightly later in the day, like 1, 2, 3 o'clock. Gives me time to do, like, typically I'll have therapy, I'll be off on my therapy days, so I'll typically film and then do therapy, you know, and all of that. But the only appointment that my therapist had for last week when we were scheduling was 10 a.m. on Friday, and I had to be to work at noon. And this is going to be part of my life update, but like I've been sleeping in a lot later recently, just with like everything. And so I started doing my makeup at honestly probably like 9:30. It was a phone appointment, so it wasn't like, you know, I didn't have to like, it wasn't a video appointment and I didn't have to go anywhere, you know. And I even said to her at the beginning of the appointment, I was just like, I have to be to work in 2 hours. Our appointments are an hour long. And I was like, so I'm gonna have you on speakerphone, and like you may hear like clicking, clacking. I was like, I'm gonna try to channel YouTube Bree here and like do my makeup while I'm talking. And she was like, okay, no problem. And then I proceeded to trauma dump on her for an hour. And I find it so funny that I can get on here. And now granted, there's certain things that like I really am not very good at talking while doing, like eyeliner, brows, stuff like that. But like I straight up could not do my makeup and talk at the same time to her, when I do it all the time on camera. Like it didn't make any sense to me, or it doesn't make any sense to me. Like got off the appointment and I was almost done with my eyeshadow when she called, I finished up my eyeshadow while we were like first talking, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna skip. I thought to myself, I was like, I'm gonna skip eyeliner. I'll just do it at the end of my makeup. No big deal. I got off, and all I had done was like my primer, my like glowy primer, like for my under eyes, and my foundation. That was it. I didn't do anything fucking else. And then I had to rush, and it was like a whole thing, and yeah. It's just funny that like I can turn that ability on when like the camera's on. I wonder if I'd like put a camera in front of myself, if I would have been able to do it a little bit better. But also it could have just been the subject matter that we were discussing. I don't fucking know. I'm also like right now currently like not trying to get too heavy into like the life update stuff, because the lid work for my eyeshadow is very simple. It's literally just this color and then a shimmer that I'm gonna smear all over my eyes, and then that's it. And I'm still gonna do like my foundation and stuff off of camera, so I'm just gonna do this really quick while I ramble about fucking nothing. How have you guys been? I'll show you guys what I use at the end here. I'm just, not that it's like incredibly revolutionary, but it's all gonna come together and it's gonna look really nice at the end. Also, look at my nails. I haven't done squares in a long time, so I'm getting used to them. Like, I'm so used to having like an almond shape or a point or something like that, so you don't have as much action on the sidewall. So I'm like running the sidewalls into things, but they're so cute. I feel like I need to like set the stage timeline wise here. It is October 17th today, as of me filming this. It is October 17th. I just want to point out that the last video that I edited yesterday was my last Get Ready With Me, which if you haven't seen that, is like, I would hop away and go watch that one first. It's going to give you like a little bit more context on what I'm going to talk about in today's video. I didn't even realize that, or that I had really even talked about too much in that last Get Ready With Me. Now, to be fair, part of my problem is that like I just didn't edit for a really long time, and then it just got to the point where I was just like pushing videos off and getting rid of videos and just doing this and doing that, and like life just all happened right fucking at once. That's part of the problem. But yeah, it is October 17th. For timeline reference, my husband had his dental surgery on September 10th. So we are 5 weeks out from that, give or take. And it's kind of crazy to say that it's only been 5 weeks. I'm not going to remind him of that because it feels like it's been longer. Anyways, I am going to go text my father-in-law happy birthday, because saying the date out loud reminded me that it's his birthday. So I'm gonna go do that, put on a wing, put on my base. I will be right back. I just realized that I forgot to show you guys what I did for my lids. So while I'm waiting for this primer to sink in a little bit, I used the ABH Norvina Volume 5 palette. Super simple here. Super fucking simple. I went in with A4 as my crease color, and then E1 all over my lids. Super simple. Probably could have told you guys that once everything was done, but I didn't want to forget. So here we are. I'll be back. Okay, I'm gonna do my cream blush and cream bronzer before I put on my concealer. I'm gonna use the LYS No Limits cream bronzer in Hope. So now that I have kind of set the stage on timeline, at least, where I had left off in my last Get Ready With Me, which again, I had actually originally had that video planned to go up much earlier in October. I filmed it in September, within the week, I want to say, like within a week and a half of my husband having surgery. And I was at this kind of point where like he wasn't going back to work yet, and my mom had just worked, I want to say like that full week, maybe over a week straight, open to close shifts. We both work with my parents. So I was kind of at this point where I wanted to give her some time. I knew that he couldn't work. And so basically the way I had, we had written the schedule was that I was going to work 6 days the following week, and it was going to be 6 5-hour shifts. So I wouldn't get like a whole crazy bunch of overtime or anything like that, but it would give her some time. You know, she wasn't working open to close shifts. She was still working full shifts, but she wasn't working open to close shifts. And then she would have Sunday off because I would work my normal 9 to 5 on Sunday. That was what we agreed on. And because of that, I was actually able to film most of those days because I can film a video before a 2 p.m. shift, you know, before a 3 p.m. shift. Like, that's not a problem. That was what we had agreed upon. That's where I was in that video. I dropped one of my velour busts on the floor. So that is where I was. And that was fine. Not an issue. I need to take this off. I'm getting warm. Zoom you guys in just a little bit more. There we go. So yeah, that's where that was, and we were kind of at this point where, you know, we were just waiting for him to heal. Cool, no problem, right? Now, backtrack to, I want to say it was like 2-3 days after his surgery. My in-laws were still in town, and everything like that, and they went out to go get some food, and when they came back, they handed me something that was hanging on our doorknob. Not to interrupt myself here, but I can now officially say that the allergy pill has kicked in. I'm not stuffy anymore, thank fucking God. Anyways, so they handed me something that was hanging on my door that just basically said, hey, you know, it was going to be that Friday, actually, which they left on Saturday. They left on that Saturday. It was going to be that Friday. It was just a little notice saying, hey, we need to come into the apartment. This was given to everybody because they wanted to take a look at the balcony, because they were having vendors come out to rebuild banisters, the front parts, all of this stuff. And so I ran over to the leasing office and I was like, hey, I really can't do this right now. Like, my in-laws were sleeping on our couch bed in the living room, so that was pulled out, which then obviously eats up quite a bit of space in the living room. The coffee table was right there, and it basically meant that the hallway, or like the walkway between the TV and the coffee table, was like this fucking wide, like super narrow, right? Not this wide, but like it was super, super narrow, right? And also, like, at that point in time, like, my husband was still like very fresh, like we were still struggling quite a bit with like sleeping through the night and like managing pain and all of that kind of stuff. So I was just like, hey, like, I'm really sorry, we can't do this. This is the situation, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, absolutely no problem. She goes, they may just, you know, put up a ladder and just view it from the outside. And I was like, that's totally fine. So they actually never came and checked ours. But I did tell her when I went to go let her know, like, hey, we can't do this. I was just like, hey, by the way, the, like, awning over our balcony definitely needs to get replaced. Like, that is much worse than, like, our banisters or anything like that. And you can't see that from the front facing. You can only see it, like, when you're either on the balcony or in the apartment, because you can see the underside of it. And she was like, okay, I'll let, like, the roofers know, because we're going to have roofer vendors out as well. They must be doing, like, renovating a whole bunch of shit right now. So, which is great. I appreciate that. So, I was like, okay, no problem. Probably, like, 2 weeks later, a week after, 2 weeks after that, I want to say, it was after my week of, like, 6 5-hour shifts. By the way, this was the OIS Higher Standard Cream Glow Blush Stick in Focused. But yeah, probably like 2 weeks after that, like, I had filmed all of those videos. And now, mind you, that meant that I only had 1 day off at the time. And while I can film a video before a 2 o'clock shift, I can't edit and film. Like, I can't do all of it. And I have a really bad habit of just, like, not wanting to do shit when I get home from work, which I feel like isn't a bad habit. That's pretty fucking normal. But I was falling behind on editing. That's irrelevant. While I wait for the setting spray to sink in. So, like, I want to say it was the week after that. It could have been another week. I don't know. I have no concept of time at the moment. I ended up getting a call from the leasing office where they were letting me know that the vendors were going to come and do our balcony. And she was like, they don't need to come into your apartment. They're going to do everything from the outside, but just so you know, like, they're going to be at your balcony pretty much for a full day, like 8 a.m. until like 3 p.m., right? So I was like, okay, no problem. They were originally going to do that on a Monday, which wouldn't have impacted really anything except for like sleep and my general annoyance with like sawing noises and stuff. My own sensory issues. So, but it wouldn't have impacted like filming or anything like that, right? So, oh yeah, they called me on a Thursday and it was going to be the following Monday, because I remember calling Chris when I was at work and being like, I need you to do me a big favor because we have like lights that we hang on our balcony, and I asked him to take them down because obviously they needed to come down. They were attached to the banister, they were attached to the awning, like they were, you know, attached to the whole thing, and I didn't know what all they were doing, but they needed to come down. So Monday comes, I wake up and it was well past 8:30 and I heard no sawing noises whatsoever, not even like at a different building. So I was like, okay, maybe, you know, maybe there were some people that got sick, maybe something happened, rescheduling, whatever. They're not doing it today. So I went over to the leasing office on my way to, like, before I left for work that day, and I was like, what hap? When are they doing this? And they were like, oh my god, they had to get like more wood, and then they ran out of wood and this and that, so it's not going to be today. Can they come tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, it is what it is. You know, I can't. They're going to do what they're going to do, and I don't really get too much of a say in it. So, unfortunately, that next day was one of my days off that week. So, I was prepared for them to be sawing literally in the grass right outside of this window, working on my balcony that's attached to this building. Like, I knew that I wouldn't be able to film, right? So I was like, it is what it is. I'm behind enough as it is on editing. Like, it's fine. Now, mind you, in the midst of this, we're dealing with, you know, him recovering from his surgery, appointment after appointment after appointment, like literally every single week, oh, blah, 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 all this kind of shit too, you know? So Tuesday comes, I'm off. He had a dentist appointment that day for a surgery checkup that day. I get up that morning, and once again, no sawing, no nothing, right? So I just assume, okay, maybe they still couldn't get their wood, you know, whatever happened with the wood situation the day before, maybe they still couldn't get it, because I didn't hear them anywhere. This is a me thing, and I'm aware that it's a me thing. It could be like an ADHD thing and a neurodivergent thing in general. I don't know. But like, when it comes to stuff like filming, I have to plan for it the night before. Like, I have to know what video I'm filming, make sure I have a look planned, make sure I have just kind of like a generalized idea of what it is that I plan to talk about. Otherwise, I'm going to get on here and I'm going to make a fucking ass out of myself because I'm not going to have any plan for anything. And then, so I have to be somewhat prepared for it, right? So I get up that morning and they're not there. And so because I didn't plan to film, I didn't film, because in my spicy brain, I can't. Doesn't make a ton of sense, I get that, but it's just how my brain works. Because on the other end of that spectrum, which is how the next 2 weeks are gonna go, I can't film if I don't plan for it. And I also get really frustrated, and this isn't just necessarily for filming, but I also get really frustrated and will like kind of almost shut down a little bit if I plan for something and then it doesn't happen, or some portion of my plans change. Wednesday comes, the next day. I was off Tuesday and Wednesday that week. I'm having the craziest deja vu right now. I feel like I discussed this when they were doing the parking spaces. I don't know. Regardless, Wednesday comes, and or maybe I just talked about this with Chris. I don't know. Either way, Wednesday comes. I, once again, did not plan to film because I assumed that they would come and do our balcony the next day, right? So I just didn't film that week. And then every morning after that I had work, but I was just kind of prepared for them to just be there, right? Now fast forward to this week. They've been working. Like ever since I want to say like Wednesday or Thursday of the week that they were supposed to come into our balcony. They've been working, but they've been like 2 buildings over. So I don't know if we just got skipped or if they're waiting on ours because our awning needs to be done as opposed to the banisters, and that's a completely different process, or what is going on. I don't know. All I know is they're actually not even doing banisters anymore. We drove past them yesterday. They're doing redoing stairs, which, Jesus fucking Christ, if they get to ours, that's gonna be a nightmare if he isn't at work, or realistically it's going to be a nightmare regardless because I don't ever go to work that early in the morning, so it's going to end up being a day that like neither of us are going to be able to work because we're not going to be able to leave our apartment. We'll know in advance, like they'll let us know in advance, I know that. But it did hit this week and I kind of was just like, I have to film, like I have to, so I'm just going to suck up the idea that if it doesn't happen kind of thing and just plan for it and hope for the best and just kind of take that as it comes, because I was getting so far behind. And not to mention, like, every time I didn't film, I was literally taking videos from October and shoving them into November and like getting rid of November videos or shoving those to December kind of thing, like in my planner, right? I was just like, I have to film. And I also can like recognize that part of my problem currently is that in the process of all of this, between my husband having surgery, my in-laws in town, my work schedule being weird, you know, appointments and this and that, and not like, I'm getting days off, but they're different because my husband's home. It's not, you know, my normal routine where when he would go to work, I would get up in the morning and I would go edit for a little bit and I would get ready to film, and then when he would leave for work, I would film, right? Like it's still a slightly different routine than normal. So basically, I kind of just this week decided that despite the fact that my husband's not back at work yet, because the biggest problem with him is like he's not in a ton of pain anymore, but he like physically cannot eat more than like liquids and like really 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 soft food. He's on a no chew diet right now, so he's malnourished like pretty severely. So on top of the fact that like he just doesn't feel the greatest because he's not eating enough, I also just like don't want him at work burning more calories when he's already not eating enough, you know? So this week I was just like, I need to do my very, very, very best to get myself back on as much of my normal routine as I possibly can. 2 days off, filming, editing, cleaning the house on those 2 days off, you know? That's what I need, because the longer I am out of my routine, A, the worse I personally feel, and also B, like the more I just like lose executive function in regards to certain things like editing and filming and putting out content. Just used the NYX Sweet Cheeks matte blush in So Taupe as my contour. And now I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer in Forever Sunkissed as my bronzer. So yeah, this is me attempting to get myself back into my regular routine so that after taking quite a bit of time off in September and October, I can be back on track for November. I actually wasn't too bad in September. I was pretty pre-filmed, so realistically all that I had to do, actually pretty far ahead on filming and editing. So all I really had to do with that was just prep videos, which doesn't take that long in all honesty. It was just like once October came, I was no longer ahead on editing. I was at the time still kind of ahead on, no, actually wasn't ahead on filming. I had videos for October that I hadn't filmed yet. And they were like, I kind of stupidly didn't film the more involved content that I had originally had planned for October ahead of time. I really should have, but I didn't. And so because of that, I was left with videos that required research and filming and like editing, and like it would have been longer videos and stuff like that. So those ended up getting pushed to the side and either canceled or pushed to a later date. Really quick, I'm going to jump back into volume 5 before I do my blush. I'm going to smoke out E5 underneath my eyes and then probably blend it out with A4. I'm just going to do that off camera because he's like right there. Okay, so I'm going to grab the Disney Ulta Beauty blush and highlight palette. I'm going to take Kilimanjaro Safaris as my blush, my matte blush. But yeah, that's basically where I've been. I know by the time you guys are seeing this video, I will have already been back to uploading. Like, I think I took 2 weeks off in October. I have a week and a half worth of content for the end of October, and then it's still, you know, back to my regularly scheduled programming for November. Now granted, the first like I think week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks of content for November is actually videos that I had filmed for October that I just kept shoving back. So the Halloween background stayed up for quite a bit longer than intended. Like I said, I'm just trying to get back to my normal swing of things, getting back into the vibes. I'm going to take the Milani Baked Blush in Sunset Passion. Oh, another thing that didn't help, I could have filmed with it or without it. I'm still filming with it, to be honest with you, but I have been trying this thing where basically, okay, so we're going to talk about my skincare routine for a minute here. I had a skincare routine for a while. Okay, let me backtrack even more for if you've never seen any of my like skincare videos or anything like that. I had a pretty decent skincare routine, and then COVID happened, like lockdowns happened, and that was like one of the things that just like broke for me. So I like lost the executive function to do skincare, and it was also compounded by the fact that I had gotten off of birth control at the beginning of 2019, and my skin reacted really, really badly to that. So while also like losing the executive function, I kind of was just like, I'm gonna take a step back from all of the skincare and kind of see like, is that the problem? Is getting off of birth control the problem? Like, what's the situation, you know? And so I think it took me probably like a year and a half, 2 years between taking a break from everything, except for like obviously moisturizer and like washing my face, and trying to rebuild up my skincare routine back to the different things that I was doing, which I was doing honestly probably way too much. I'm gonna jump back into the Disney Ulta Beauty palette for my highlight. So I built back up my skincare routine. I was doing, you know, BHAs, AHAs, retinol, fucking niacinamide, well, originally vitamin C, and then I switched over to niacinamide. But I was doing all of that and like in alternating schedules and all of this stuff. And I was noticing that my skin barrier, particularly in like this area right here, was really, really, really bad. And I was still getting breakouts, not nearly as bad as I was when I got off of birth control, but like I was still getting breakouts, and I kind of just like, I wanted to hit pause, and what I wanted to do was see what skincare product was actually the most beneficial for my skin, because I felt like I was doing too much and I was stripping too much from my skin and I was over exfoliating my skin and I was probably doing myself more harm than good kind of thing. So I set up a little routine for myself where, let me backtrack really quick. I was alternating every other day. One morning I would do BHAs, the next morning I was doing niacinamide. And then same with every night, I was doing one night AHAs and one night retinol. And I kind of, so I was always doing something in the morning and I was always doing something at night. And I never really got back my nighttime executive function when it comes to skincare, aside from washing my face. I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes I don't even have the executive function to moisturize my face. There it is. Okay. But I kind of was just like, you know what, I did some research. Realistically, you can do all of those things in the morning. It's not really, like, it can make retinol slightly less effective, but not enough for me to actually care, But I was just like, I want to see which one is actually, or even two, are actually the most beneficial for my skin and what's the, most beneficial setup for it. So I basically took everything out of my routine except for BHAs. And I took it to every 2 days. And then I did that for a month. And then I still had some left in the fucking bottle. So I was like, okay, let me see what every other day is like. And I did that until I ran out of the bottle. And then for the rest of that month, I did nothing. I didn't put anything on my skin actives wise. I wanted to give my skin a little bit of a break, and then I was going to switch to AHAs, doing every 2 days for a month, and then to finish off the bottle, if I had any left, I was going to go every other day and just kind of see how my skin reacted to different setups. And then I was going to do, niacinamide, and then I was going to do retinol, or whichever order I do it. So I finish up the AHA bottle, I want to say, or BHA bottle, excuse me. I want to say like 2 weeks ago or so, or whatever that timing would be. That would result in me basically having about 2 weeks of doing nothing before I switched over to AHAs. And in those 2 weeks, my skin got so fucking bad. I am breaking out so much around my chin. I'm actually even breaking out a little bit on my forehead, which is not normal for me. That was like an issue too when it came to filming. It's like my skin was so fucking bad that I like almost didn't want to get on camera because it just was so bad. It's still not great, but it's better than it was in 2020, which is hilarious because when I started filming was when my skin was at its worst. But yeah, I just started doing AHAs like at the beginning of this week. And I'm doing it every other day, so I've literally only done it twice, so it's way too early for me to see like any sort of improvements or anything at all. So I have a feeling niacinamide is going to be one that's going to end up staying in my routine, and it's just going to be a matter of which other active I do that's going to help like prevent acne. We'll see. My skin actually might get really bad with niacinamide because I don't think that does niacinamide prevent acne? I'll look it up real quick. Oh, niacinamide does help with acne. Interesting. I don't know that it's so much. Niacinamide has been shown to boost collagen production and improve skin elasticity. That's hilarious for someone like me with broken ass collagen and too much skin elasticity. Whatever. Okay. I'm gonna go finish up the rest of my face, get dressed, do something with my hair. I will be right back. I literally just changed a loose gray shirt for a tighter fitting gray shirt. So it really wasn't much of a difference, except for I did something with my hair. I rarely ever wear my hair down, too. Feels good to be back filming. I'll say that. It does feel nice. So, pleased with that. Love the way that my makeup look turned out. I think that it's so cute. A little grungy, a little sultry, but like still softer. But yeah, that is going to wrap up this video. A little get ready with me life update situation. Comment down below. Tell me what's going on with you. I would love to hear all about it. I promise I'm getting back into the swing of things. It's gonna go back to normal pretty soon. please subscribe if you have not already. It would mean the world to me. Like this video, ring the bell, do all the things. I hope that you guys have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!